Wow, so good to see all of you here today. And we are continuing on the series, Strong Families, Strong Church. Yeah, and today my topic is none other than nurturing family dynamics, because this is something that is very, very important. It impacts all of us, whether we are a child, whether we are mom, whether we are a husband, wife. It impacts all of us because all of us belong to a family. Yeah, and I grew up in a single parent family, and in my relationship with my mom, I stay with my mom. We found ourselves occasionally stuck in this pattern where she expects me to take initiative on something that she needs without telling me, right? She expects me, for example, she expects me to heat up my food, our dinner before she comes back from work. She will expect me, the food is already heated up, and then it will be there, right? Without telling me. And then she expects me to, if the car is at outside the house or at certain position, she expects me to move it so that she can park at her place when she comes back from home. So she expects all this without telling me. She expects me to mind read her. And there's often an assumption, right, that I should have known, but more often than not, I don't get what is expected to be done lah. Because I don't mind read, right? I'm not like Professor X from the X-Men where I can mind read you, and simply because I didn't know what is expected of me at the first place, and this relationship dynamics between me and my mom sometimes can become a point of argument where she say, you should have known, you should be sensitive to my needs, right? Like you should have known, but at the same time I will tell her that I can't read your mind. Does it sound familiar, husbands? At the same time, I say, I can't read your mind. So if you want me to do something that you want me to do, just tell me what you want me to do, right? And I'm quite certain that I am not alone in this place, all right? How many of you can relate? Give me a soft nod. Okay, I see some soft nod in this place, all right? So don't nod too hard, later it's like your wife will be looking at you. Okay, so, and I'm quite certain I'm not alone in this room today, whether you are a parent, you're a spouse, a child, a teenager, or a sibling. Every single one of us here have our unique family dynamics. And a family dynamics, just for you, like, oh, very chim, the word family dynamics. Family dynamics is simply a pattern of interactions, behavior, or relationships that form among family members. The way you interact with one another, the way you talk to one another, the way you respond or react, over time, it becomes a family dynamics. And for some of us, these patterns you have established in your family have made the family a safe space and also a stronger one. They are very healthy family dynamics. Perhaps your family have nurtured that it becomes a strong family. But for some of us here, maybe the patterns of dysfunction at home has become incredibly frustrating and is affecting your relationship. So today, we wanted to understand a bit more about how these patterns actually look like in the family right here in our church, all right? And recently, that's why 2 weeks ago, I think in youth church, I've conducted a survey among our youth to find out how is the family dynamics going on in their home, an anonymous survey. So 105 youth has responded in this survey, and it is a two-part survey. The survey is one part of it. It talks about, how they perceive their parents' marriage, how they perceive their relationship with their father, with their mothers, with their siblings. And the second part, we ask them two questions about what is one thing that your parents, that your family do that make you feel loved, make you feel supported, and then what is one change that you hope in your family that will make you feel loved and supported. Yeah. So I'm just going to go through a bit of our findings, what we found out. And the first one, the ratings are on the side screen. I will not go through what the rating means. You can read it for yourself. But when it comes to parents' marital relationship, our youth perceive it as 59% describe their parents' marriage as very healthy and healthy. That's more than half. That's great, right? That's great. Very healthy and healthy. 25% describe their parents as okay but inconsistent. That means they are doing all right but not very consistent. Sometimes they do fight. Sometimes there's misunderstanding and all. And 1 in 8 youth perceive that their parents' marriage as unhealthy at home. Unhealthy, you can see what it means by unhealthy or very unhealthy, right? According to the rating. And then how about their relationships with their fathers at home? Our youth relationship. 58% of them describe that their relationship with their fathers as very healthy and healthy. But at the same time, quite a significant number selected 30%, which is mixed and neutral, which actually suggests that their relationship with their fathers may be average, may be okay, but at the same time, they may not feel very emotionally close with their fathers. That's quite a significant number. How about their relationship with their mothers? Actually, this particular category, mother and child relationship, were the strongest positive category. 77% of our youth actually feel closer to their mom, which they describe as healthy and very healthy. So if you compare from mom and dad, actually many of our youth feel more emotionally safe and heard by their mothers, which shows that mothers are often the emotional anchors in their family dynamics. All right? And lastly, their relationship with their siblings. Most of them, we realize that many are also nowadays more and more single child or less smaller family lah. Not like my mom's time, 8 siblings, 9 siblings, smaller family, So, but most siblings' relationships are pretty positive and stable if they have siblings, and they act as emotional companions and support system at home. So based on the survey, we are glad to see at least more than half, at least more than 50% family represented here in this place have healthy dynamics. Let's give yourself a hand, all right? But at the same time, regardless whether your family falls into the very healthy dynamics or even the not so healthy, facing difficult times, I have good news for you. It's not all doom, okay? So family dynamics can always be nurtured, can always be improved, can change for the better. Even for the majority here who perhaps you are at a healthy level, a very healthy level, it is not perfection yet. We can still improve. We can always still do better. So to help us visualize how these dynamics work together and how they can shift, I just want to invite the team, Dorothy and the team, to come out to show us an illustration. Let's welcome them.
Hello. Good morning, church. Good to be here with all of you. Today we're doing something special. It's called the Family Sculpture Illustration. All right, so with me are some actors. So what this illustration involves is that all these actors will be taking on roles of a family, one family, right? Family members that we moved, positioned, and posed to reflect the family's dynamics, which is the relational and the emotional connection between family members. As I describe the family, we have Renee. She will be our sculptor. All right, Renee, wave, okay? And she'll be moving the sculptures as I describe the family. So we created a fictional family that you can see on the screen based on the survey findings that you just saw earlier. All right, so it doesn't represent any one family. Any similarities are purely coincidental, okay? So now let's meet the characters. We have the Tang family, and we have Dad. Daniel Tang is a dad. So Dad is a sales manager. His education background is diploma in business administration. He enjoys watching football. He's an Arsenal supporter. And he likes cooking. He is described as hardworking, reserved, and practical. Now, Grace is the mom. So Grace is a primary school teacher with slightly higher education. She has a bachelor's degree in education, and she enjoys baking and also watching family dramas. She's described as caring, patient, emotionally expressive. All right. Then we have the oldest son, Jacob. He is now a college student, and he's studying his foundation in media and communication. He enjoys basketball, gaming, and also playing the guitar. He is independent, observant, and protective. Then we have the youngest daughter, Hannah. Hannah is a year 5 primary school student. She enjoys drawing, watching YouTube crafts, and she's described as cheerful, sensitive, and also affectionate. Like mommy, she wants to be a teacher too. Okay, so now I will be reading out their family dynamics of the Tang family. And as I read every paragraph, Renee will then sculpt them into illustrate how this dynamic is playing out, all right? So let's go. Daniel is a responsible and dependable provider who expresses love mainly through hard work and provision, but struggles to communicate emotions openly. Now, he often keeps conversations practical rather than personal. Okay, so now Renee will start sculpting Daniel. Right? That's the sales manager. Okay. And now Grace. Grace serves as the emotional anchor of the family. She checks in on the children regularly, notices when someone is upset, and tries to keep the peace at home. She often feels tired carrying much of the family's emotional needs alone. Okay. All right, so having to carry both the family's needs, all right, with that warm smile. Okay, their marriage is stable, but emotionally distant at times, as conversations tend to revolve around responsibilities rather than deeper connection. Conflict is usually avoided instead of resolved openly, creating quiet tension within the home. Despite the gaps, both still care deeply for each other and desire a peaceful, close-knit family. Okay, parents being the center of the family, hands are still holding because they are still caring deeply for each other. However, notice how they are facing, all right, away from one another. Okay, so now let's go to Jacob. Jacob notices the tension between his parents even when they try to hide it. He respects his father but feels emotionally disconnected from him, turning instead to his mother or close friends for deeper conversations. He shares a close and protective bond with Hannah. Okay, mother and son bond is close, holding hands, standing close to each other, and he notices the conflict and tension. All right. How about the protective bond with Hannah, Renee? Okay. All right. Now, Hannah is affectionate and highly sensitive to the atmosphere at home, easily affected by conflict and tension between her parents. She looks up to Jacob for security and support. She deeply desires a happy and peaceful family environment where everyone spends more time together. Okay, so we can see now how this family, the Tang family's dynamics. All right, so now let's give Renee a hand for giving us this visual representation. Thank you, Renee. And now, I would like to interview the sculptures. Okay, so I will start with Hannah, since she's nearest to me. So, Hannah, how do you feel just watching your family's dynamics from your POV?
I feel very disconnected with my father.
Disconnected with father is so far away, right? Okay, all right. Now let's talk to Jacob. All right, Jacob, how do you feel in this current position?
I think I feel very loved, but especially by my younger sister. At least got sister like me lah. And I think I feel very connected to my mom, and that I'm able to hold her hands as well. But I also noticed that the relationship between my parents are a bit distant, and even though they're together, they're facing away from one another, and I think I would prefer if it was a bit more, they were a bit more united.
Thank you, Jacob, for sharing that. And we can see, even as children, sometimes we think like, oh, children don't know much, I don't know what's going on. But actually, the children notice what's happening at home. All right, now to Mom, Grace. So how do you feel in this position? One hand holding to husband, another hand holding to son, but your face is facing away from husband.
I feel stretched. I'm a mom. I have to be connected with my children, and yet I'm not connected with my husband. And I have to work, and I have to juggle my children, and also between work, and I'm tired.
We can hear her, right? Tired, stretched, because she has to juggle not just the family, but also this dynamics with her husband. And it seems like she is feeling alone now over there. Huh? Okay, now to the father that is looking to don't know where. Okay.
What's your question, Doc?
Oh, sorry. How do you feel in this position?
honestly not good because I don't even, I feel very disconnected from the family. I can't even see, literally, I cannot see my kids, right? And even though I guess it's only been a minute, but holding on to my wife like this is already very tiring. So I guess, yeah, it sounds like I'm a part of the family, but I only do one thing. I'm kind of the father of the family in name only, but I feel very distant, very disconnected.
All right, you all hear from him. He's distant, disconnected, and it feels like although he's part of the family, but not really. Okay, so we can see this dynamics, yeah? So now to the Tang family, all right, if I were to allow you to change one thing of your current position, what would you do? And I want you to think and then let me know what does that one thing actually mean. All right, so all of you, you can now do that one thing to change your own position. I'm asking them to change their own position because at the end of the day, we can only control what we do. We can't just mother pull the children all over. That will be again very tiring for the mother. But what mother can do is what mother can do for herself. All right, that one thing you can do. All right, let's go. Okay, so dad chooses to open his arms facing the children now. Mother chooses to walk closer. All right, and we see because when mother chooses to walk closer and because of the close relationship between the son and the mother and the children and the son, the youngest and the brother, very naturally that dynamics would automatically shift. So church, can we see a difference in how they are standing and their position right now? It's very obvious, isn't it? All right, so now let me ask them one by one, what does this actually mean? Okay, so Ashlyn, I see you reaching out to dad's hand and dad also holding your hand. What does this mean to you? What do you have to do to achieve this?
You have to. You have to spend time with your family and get to know them better.
Spend time with the family and get to know them better. And this is from a year 5 primary school student. Primary school students, are we here in the house? Yes, wave at me. All right, I see y'all, okay? That means you all also can take an active role, yeah, to get to know your parents and also your siblings, okay? And the youth. If a year 5 primary school can do that, can y'all do that? I see one head shaking. What's this, We need to talk to them, PMF. All right, now let's look at Jacob. All right, so Jacob, I also saw you moving closer towards your family. So what is this? And your hand is like around mom and also, of course, around sister. So what is that one thing you got to do in order to achieve this position?
I think it's also taking initiative. I think definitely the parents did take an initiative to be together. And then I think naturally, as teenager or kids, we'll naturally want to be part of a family, a loving family. And I think it's also putting myself in a position where I can be part of that family. Yeah.
You see, he says the word naturally. It is very natural for children to want to be in a safe family, in a loving and united family. We heard what Jacob said even earlier. That's what he wants to see. And so when the parents move, very naturally, he also moved in. Yeah? Okay, now let's talk to mom. Okay, so mom, I also saw you move straight away to husband. Yeah, so can you share what is that one thing you got to do in order to move to your husband?
That I have to also take the initiative to the person that I love, that I need to appreciate him, I need to love him, and he's the head of the family, that he can guide us and bring all of us together to connect better.
Need to love and to appreciate and to go towards the husband. Wow, I think that in some sense it sounds like it has to lay down some level of pride also. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. All right, confirmed. All right, so now for the father, wow, father now changed a lot. So now how? I want to talk to you, but I don't know how. Okay, here, this way. Okay, so Jeff. Not Jeff, Daniel. Okay, Daniel. Sorry. Daniel, what is this one? After this one change, we all saw your one change. So what, in practical terms, in reality terms, since you are the practical one, what does it mean in order for you to make this move?
Actually, just listening to Hannah and Jacob, although I knew it, but it really made me realize that my children are their own people, right? They have their own minds, they have their own hearts, they have their own emotions. The only question is whether I bother to make time to learn more about them, to spend time with them, and actually know what's going on in their life. Obviously, with me and my wife, I think the challenge is to deepen the relationship, not just focus on, fees, bills, daily tasks, etc. Right? It's how do we reconnect, right, with the husband and wife that we were when we first started courting. Yeah. So I think that this is, it's a wake-up call to that to reclaim my position as head of the family, not just pay the bills.
Thank you so much, Daniel, for that. So true. It's not just him turning to the wife. It's when he turns to the family. The family, he can see that actually my children are growing up and they're their own people. And when they are growing up, that means I also can take time to get to know my wife all over again from the day that we courted till now. All right, so let's give them all a hand. Thank you so much for this illustration.
Thank you, Dorothy and team. Let's give them another hand. Thank you so much. Awesome. Wow, what a powerful illustration. As we have just witnessed in the family sculpture, truly our roles affects one another. Thank you guys. Our roles, whether we are a spouse, a parent, a child, it is never isolated. And when one person carries a heavy burden, the whole family is affected, as you can see visually, right? And when one person moves, the dynamics of the family changes as well. And today we are going to read from the passage, 1 Corinthians chapter 12. And I've read this passage many times, but it is actually my first time seeing it as disliked as in terms of relationship dynamics. When I was reading it, I'm like, oh my goodness, this passage is relationship dynamics all over it. And I'm just going to invite everybody to just stand to honor God's word, even as we read together, all right? 1 Corinthians 12, verse 14 to 27. Let's read it together. 1, 2, 3. Yes, the body has many different parts, not just one part. If the foot says, I am not a part of the body because I am not a hand, that does not make it any less a part of the body. And if the ear says, I am not part of the body because I am not an eye, would that make it less part of a body? If the whole body were an eye, how would you hear? Or if your whole body were an ear, how would you smell anything? But our bodies have many parts, and God has put each part just where He wants it. How strange a body would be if it had only one part. Yes, there are many parts, but only one body. The eye can never say to the hand, I don't need you. The head can't say to the feet, I don't need you. In fact, some parts of the body that seems weakest and least important are actually the most necessary. And the parts we regard as less honorable are those we clothe with the greatest care. So we carefully protect those parts that should not be seen, while the more honorable parts do not require this special care. So God has put the body together such that extra honor and care are given to those parts that have less dignity. This makes for harmony among the members so that all the members care for each other. If one part suffers, all the parts suffers with it. And if one part is honored, all the parts are glad. All of you together are Christ's body, and each of you is a part of it. May God bless the reading of His word. You may be seated. Thank you. Yeah. And this passage uses the profound metaphor of a human body to show us that we each have a role to play, and the way we choose to function with one another as parts shapes our entire family dynamic. Now, of course, Paul, who is the writer of this particular passage, was originally referring to the body of Christ, which is the church, specifically the Corinthian church back then, which was also very much fractured by unhealthy dynamics within the church. But as this series emphasizes on strong family, strong church, as strong church is built on the foundation of strong families at home, with that in mind, I just want to draw a few principles from this text, what it looks like to nurture healthy family dynamics right at your home. All right, can we do that? Okay, so the first part is that the first one is one family, different parts. We have different role. In verse 14, Paul says, yes, the body has many different parts, not just one part. He has to clarify that the body, even though it is one body, but a body consists of many different parts. The whole body cannot be an eye. The whole body cannot be just consists of a ear. But a body must consist of different parts. So this part, Paul was directly rebuking the Corinthian church because there are certain groups of people in the church. There's two groups of people in the church that were thinking that they are not part of the body. One group of it who are the believers that didn't have the fleshy, prominent spiritual gifts, right? Like prophecy, speaking in tongues, the more public spiritual gift, feel that they don't belong to the body because, they are not significant. On the other hand, there are this group of people in the church that have more prominent spiritual gift, more fleshy spiritual gift. They were arrogant because they thought that only their gifts matter. That the other parts doesn't matter, that the body only needed them to function healthily. But obviously, we know that that's not how the body works, right? While there is only one body, it must consist of different parts, each with its unique function, so that the body can be healthy. Yeah? And God's design for our family is the same. Our family is supposed to function as one complete unit. We are connected to one another, right? But however, the family units has different parts as well. Not everybody in the family is a father. Not everybody in a family is a mother, is a child, is a teenager, right? Not everybody is a grandparent. Not everybody has sibling. So today, I just want to speak to the parents in this house today. Yeah, I am not a parent, but I am at the grassroots of listening of what's happening at home because I do pastor quite a number of I'm spiritual parent lah, basically, right? So even though I'm not a parent, I want to let you know about this, that fathers and mothers, your roles at home are completely irreplaceable. And I was in a conversation recently with a group of my friends, about how easy it is to feel as though that we are irreplaceable at work, especially if you are quite high up in the corporate world, or if you are a manager, you are managing a team, you're managing a department, sometimes it requires, like, if you quit your job, it requires, 10 people to do my job, that kind of thing. And sometimes it can feel like as though like nobody can do your job if you are not there, right? But suddenly in our conversation when we were talking about that, one of my friends who is very wise said something very profound. Actually, if you think about it, there is only one place in this world where you are truly irreplaceable, and that is your family. That is your family. And how true is that, church? Because no matter how good you are at your job, if you leave, a company can immediately say that we are hiring, in a matter of few months, maybe someone new will come and do the job for the company. But nobody else can replace you as a husband or a father at home. Nobody else can replace you as a mother or as a wife at home. Yet, when we look at the results earlier in the survey, we see a more prominent pattern that our youth feel that their relationship with their father is more distant and strained compared to the mothers, right? And many of them, not saying that the youth doesn't love or respect their fathers, they still have a form of respect and they still love their fathers, but they do not feel emotionally close with them. And as a result, because of that, mothers are carrying more emotional weight at home. They are the one, checking in on the children, carrying more weight at home. And also at the same time, I also understand over here, not everybody has a father or mother at home. Some of us here might be from a single mom. Just like my mom, right? A single mom. And that is why you are also carrying the weight of the family even more as a single parent. And just like the family sculpture illustration we saw earlier, Grace, the mother, became the emotional anchor. But at the same time, she was left feeling so exhausted and depleted because she was carrying it all alone. But on the flip side, Daniel was still a good father. He still cares for the family by providing. He showed his love by working hard and providing for the family. But he was so consumed with his work, he rarely takes time to truly connect. As a result, leaving the family distant from him. And fathers, we know that many of you show your love for your family by being a good provider. And we honor and we love you and we want to appreciate you for being a good provider. That is really important. But today, may I ask and may I say that your family needs more than just a paycheck. Needs more than you just bringing in the income to the family. They need your spiritual leadership. They need your active presence. They need to see you leading by example. They need your affirmation, you to listen to them and be also the emotional presence at home as well. Amen? Amen. Secondly, the second thing is that different parts, one family. We need each other. In verse 20 to 21, it says that, yes, there are many parts, but only one body. The eye can never say to the hand, I don't need you, or the head can't say to the feet, I don't need you. And Paul, thank God, Paul didn't just stop at the body is just made up of many parts. He didn't just stop at being diverse, like the body made out of many parts. He went on to emphasize that while we recognize that we are made out of different roles, different parts, the difference is never an excuse for disunity at home. Yeah, the difference is never an excuse for disunity, especially through being self-sufficient and disregarding others in the body. We do not get to do our own thing without considering the rest of the body. And today, we live in a culture of being that elevates independence. I want to be an independent woman, or we are called to be independent. We don't need anyone in this world, This worldly mindset has actually crept into the church and into our homes as well. We get so consumed by our busy schedules, by our own personal goals, chasing our own individual dreams, that sometimes, even though we may be living at home together, but we live like housemates. We rarely connect, we rarely, look at each other and really fulfill the needs of one another, right? And in family, actually independence is an illusion. Because what one part does or even fails to do will always affect the other part. You are never really independent per se. Whatever you do will affect the rest of the family. And let's look back at the family sculpture earlier, right? We saw that Grace is like the superwoman of the family, which a role of many mothers take on. Mothers are like superheroes. Mothers are like superwomen. She manages the home, carries the home emotional weight. She checks in on the children, notice when someone is upset and trying to keep everything together. But at the same time, instead of talking to Daniel about what the family needs in a constructive way, they avoid hard conversation. They keep functioning under the assumption that has to work. We better release him to work, and because he's so busy, he won't do it anyway. And truth to be told, some mothers and wives overfunction in this kind of unhealthy independence. They may expect their husband to know or notice their needs, or they become passive-aggressive instead of confronting, communicating openly. And as a result, some wives or some mothers here may feeling resentful, bitter, and alone. But I want to speak to husbands as well. Husbands, no matter how much you think your wife is a superwoman, she look like she can handle 100 things at one time, your wife still needs the emotional support of the husband. And the children still need the emotional presence of the father, no matter how independent she may look like. And let's stop saying that I don't need you or I can just do it all by myself. But instead, just like the family sculpture, start opening up for each other so that the whole family dynamics can change. We are meant to care for each other, carry one another, lift each other's burdens up. And we are first and foremost called to be dependent on God, not to be independent. First and foremost called to be dependent on God and to be interdependent with one another. So I want to look to your neighbor and say that I need you. Yeah, I need you, all right? And last one, the last thing, this is a game-changing principle, all right? One part honored, whole family. Every person takes responsibility. And I love how Paul paints the reality that in verse 22, he says that in fact, some parts of the body that seems weakest and least important are actually the most necessary. He actually highlights weakness in the body right? And I like how Paul paints the reality that imperfection does exist at home. Imperfection exists in the body. Whenever there is people gathered, there will be imperfection because all of us are imperfect, right? And there are parts of the body that will definitely feel weak. In certain seasons, there are parts that will feel less honorable or lack dignity. But I like what Paul didn't just point out imperfections that exist, but he also teaches us what to do with this imperfection. Yeah, it is not to call it quits. It is not to discard. It is not to blame one another. It is not to be indifferent or show cold shoulders, be passive-aggressive. It is not all that. But what Paul asks us to do, he says that we are supposed to clothe it with greatest care. The imperfections in our body, when we see someone that is weak, that is helpless, we are supposed to clothe it with greatest care, give it a greater honor. Yeah. And imagine if you are if you walk around and then you kick a box or something that is hard, right? And you hurt your toe. And then imagine, does your head look down on your toe and say that, why you so stupid toe? Right? Why you so stupid? You should look where we are going. Mana tahu the toe also don't have eye how to look at where he's going, right? So it's like, now go and fix yourself. No, right? When you kick something, what will your body naturally do? When you kick something, it's like, you'll be like, ow, 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 right? The mouth will scream. The hands will reach up to the toe. And then your other leg will hold the weight of the body because the toe is injured. The other parts of the body won't say that I will only care for you, toe, little toe, if only I feel like it. If only you start caring for me first, then I will care for you. No. When something is hurt in your body, the rest of the parts will give weight for it. And that is what we are supposed to do. It says in verse 25, this makes harmony among the members so that all, say all, not one, not two, not just your husband, not just your wife, all the members care for each other. Everybody. Every part takes personal responsibility to start caring so that the body can heal and can function. And this is, church, a game-changing principle for nurturing a healthy dynamics within our family. That every single one of us have a part to play, can do something, and can do something in changing family dynamics. And we witnessed this during the family sculpture. When Dorothy asked all the family members, what is one thing you can make a change? Every single person can do something. Can do something to change the family dynamics where Daniel began to, just one movement, just from here to turn around 180 degrees, just one simple gesture, change the entire family dynamics altogether. And it doesn't take a grand gesture to shift a family dynamics. From what we witnessed, it doesn't take a grand gesture. Nobody sprint from there to here to but everybody just make a movement and the whole family dynamics change. A tiny intentional movement can change everything. That's when we decide to say that I'm going to play my part. Shift can begin to happen. And sometimes those movements can look like just putting our phones down and talk to your spouse and children. Sometimes those movements can look like just a question, how are you doing today, how's work? Sometimes it can be saying that, thank you for cooking dinner tonight, dear. Sometimes it can be even just giving a hug to your children. It changes a lot of things. And some of us here might be also a single parent, children. Your mom who is a single parent here, you try, all it takes for you is to notice that they are carrying a lot of weight at home as well. Because they are carrying both mom and dad's weight, right? And sometimes as children, they may not be a perfect mom, they won't be a perfect dad, but you know that they are trying their best as a single parent, and they are carrying, and all you can do is maybe extend help when your parent need to work, need to earn double income for the family. You can do the chores at home. And all of us can do something. And I just want to share the final part of our family dynamic survey. The second part, remember there's two parts. And the first part is that, what is one thing the first part of the second part, the first question of the second part of the survey, we asked the youth, what is one thing that your family does that help you feel loved, supported, and connected? And these are the things that you have been doing at home. And we really appreciate you guys for doing that at home. These are some things: quality time, being listened to without immediate judgment, encouragement, emotional support, fun laughter, shared experience, simple everyday moments matter deeply. And your children really appreciate these things that you have been doing at home. And they notice when you are there for them. They notice when you listen to them. They notice when you spend time with them. And what matters is not the grand gesture. What matters to them is the simple everyday moment. And the second part of the survey, we also asked the youth, if there is one change you would like to see in your family, one change you wish could happen in your family to make your relationship healthier and closer, what would it be? And these are some of the answers that our youth say. I wish for a better communication at home. I wish there is less arguing and less tension. I wish there is more understanding and empathy. I wish that there is more intentional family time. I wish that there are healthier ways to resolve conflict. And I just want to say that hearing these voices from the next generation isn't about pointing fingers. I'm not standing here to point at the parents, you guys do a better job, man. No, I'm not here to point fingers. But what I'm trying to say that these responses reveal that no matter what your role is, even if you are a youth, you can take responsibility today. If you say you want better communication at home, it takes both parents and the children to choose to want to talk, not hide in your room, but choose to talk to one another with understanding, respect, and honor. If you say you want empathy, youth, you want more empathy at home, try understanding your parents first as well. If you want more empathy, it takes both sides to be quick to listen and slow to speak. And every single person that's seated here, fathers, mothers, children, brothers, sisters, we are all part of this one body. None of us are excluded. We are all part of this body. But at the same time, having said all this, a body can never function or heal or move on its own. So what is the ultimate foundation? Because a body cannot exist on its own. A body always needs a head to function. Imagine a body just walking around without head. I don't think so. It cannot. Medically, it is impossible, all right? So a body always needs a head to function. And what is the ultimate foundation that allows all these parts, all our roles to fulfill and function together? It is the head. A body without head is lifeless. And in Ephesians 4, verse 15 and 16, it says, instead, we will speak the truth in love, growing in every way more and more like Christ, who is what? Who is the head of his body, the church. He makes the whole body fit together perfectly as each part does its own special work. It helps the other parts to grow so that the whole body is healthy and growing and full of love. And church, today, Christ is the ultimate head of the body. He is the head of our church and he is the head of our home. And this is a very, very important principle because you know why? Nobody's family is perfect over here. When we feel that it's sometimes when it's so hard to stop blaming, so hard to love, when we feel so exhausted to clothe one another with care all the time, when we feel that sometimes our efforts that we make is not being returned, what do? We look to the head. We look to the head. That's the exact moment we must look up to the head because we are powerless. And it is Christ and Christ alone who makes the whole body fit together perfectly. He must be the foundation of our family dynamics, nothing else. Because at the end of the day, how can we learn to forgive when we have been hurt in our family, except when we realize that Christ also has forgiven us? How can we love unconditionally when our patience is running out, when the children or our spouse is driving us crazy sometimes? How can we learn to still love above everything? It is because Christ has first loved us above everything. And how can we draw strength to keep fighting for peace when times are tough at home? It is only through Christ, our head, who gives us the strength to bind us together, to hold the family together. Amen. So Christ is the head of our homes. Without the head, the body, no matter how good you function in your own parts, the body will remain lifeless. And church, today the message is clear. What is one thing you can do? And we're going to end the service a bit differently. No altar call, not much movement that's being going around. All of you received a slip when you came in, right? Can you wave at me if you have? If you have not received a slip that you came in, why don't you just raise your hand so that our welcome team can pass that to you. And if you need a pen or anything, don't fill that up first. This is our response. Don't fill that up. Yeah, we're going to look to the Lord. Yeah, if you don't have a slip, just raise your hands. The question is, what is one specific change I can choose to make in my family today to make our relationships healthier or closer? And as you think about this question, I don't want you to think of your spouse, okay? He must do this first before I do what I've written on the paper. No. It's not about whether your spouse will do it first. It's about you, okay? It is not about, don't think about how, my parents must be the one apologizing first, or do first. Don't think about all these things. I want you to take a moment for God to reveal the exact one thing for you, so that you can bring the family a little closer, a little healthier than before. So just take a moment, just close your eyes and just talk to God. God, what is that one thing you want me to do? And if you have that one thing, just begin to write down on the paper right now. Even if it's tough to do, just write it down. Thank you, God. Yeah, just sit with God for a moment and say that, God, help me. Reveal to me that one thing. That one thing. For some of you seated here, writing down that one thing might also be very tough because of the situation at home. Maybe because this one thing that you do requires you to let go of your pride, right? I think just now Family Sculpture, Grace said that it requires her to let go of the pride. And maybe that one thing requires you to lay down your arguments. Maybe you need to, it requires you to forgive in order to do that one thing. And if today you feel that, God, I've written down that one thing, but it's actually quite tough for me to do, I want you to speak to the Lord, say that, God, you are the head. And I'm going to trust in the head. I'm going to trust in the Lord to give me strength. That is why this is important, Christ as the foundation. Because when it's tough to do, you reach out to God. When it's tough to do, you look to God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. And if you have written your one thing, I just want you to just stand wherever you are. Say that, God, I'm ready to commit this to you. This is my commitment. That one thing, I'm going to try to do it in my family. If you have written it down and say that, God, help me. Whether it's your prayer is to help me or I want to commit to do, begin to just stand up wherever you are. Just stand up wherever you are. Then after that, we will close in prayer. Just begin to stand. If you have written it down already on the paper, just stand up wherever you are.